there must be zero tolerance on this issue. That, wait a minute, you say it's okay for someone to violate someone's constitutional rights only if they do it once. Once is too often. That's unacceptable. Anybody else would be facing termination in their respective agency, and to see the editorial board say that we're going to give them a pass because only once is too often. Yes, there is a pattern of abuse in this sheriff and in the sheriff's office under his leadership. When you have a sheriff that is intimately involved in an action, and here's an example of being intimately involved. He actually traveled to Austin. He's the one that went before the jail commission in Austin, Texas, to raise what he thought were his concerns. And after a careful review, the very same commission, which is an appointed commission of Republicans, these are the cream of the crop when you think in terms of the Republicans that are on the jail commission. We're talking about sheriffs. We're talking about, I believe it's a medical examiner out of Houston. And we have a judge, Donna Klager, who is the chairwoman of this committee. These are all appointed by the governor of Texas. And you also have the representation of the Attorney General's office on this commission as their attorney. And they all reviewed it carefully. And at the end of the day, they came back with the same conclusion, that Mr. Adán Muñoz did not violate any laws, period. So when you think in those terms, it's very troubling. Anyone that would think for one moment that that's okay to do that, it's not okay. You do it to one, you can do it to anyone. And that's the fear in a free society that's unacceptable. We can't tolerate that. And that's unfortunate because you have a sheriff that apparently doesn't want to take responsibility. He doesn't have the courage to take hold of the circumstances that occurred on his watch. So what does he do? He retaliates. He wants to kill the messenger because he doesn't want the message to get out. Jim Galen violated the law if in fact he did not turn that document over, and we believe he did not because it was not in a prosecutorial file. That document should have been reviewed by the prosecutor, and that prosecutor would make the determination what happens with that document, not the sheriff. And this was addressed to the sheriff. It never made it to the prosecutorial file, period. And the prosecutor was never aware of it until the defense attorney brought it to their attention. And ultimately, the judge that presided on this case was Judge Watts. And it was on the basis of that one single document, the one that was withheld, that we believe, by the sheriff, that resulted in this case being dismissed. Among other reasons, that is exculpatory evidence. In this case, you had a very good young officer that ran and was subjected to retaliation by this very same sheriff. Because if he can't beat you straight up, he finds ways to attack you. Ultimately, Jesse Mark Flores was terminated. He was terminated because the sheriff at the time claimed that he had disruptive behavior, slammed the door or something to that effect. In my business, I can't remember when someone was fired for slamming a door. You know, there's more behind the scenes that has to be looked at to come up with what was the real reason he was terminated. And I submit to you the reason he was terminated because he dared to run against Sheriff Kalin. There are at least 3 other cases that come to mind that are similar in nature. You have the Randy Balderas case, where it was his father was considering a run for sheriff, and just on the mere announcement that he was exploring the possibility of running for sheriff, his son was attacked and ultimately fired from the sheriff's department. It's disturbing once again when we think about the very first case with Jesse Mark Flores, and then you have the Adán Muñoz case, then you have the Randy Balderas case, and then that leads to other cases such as currently employed sheriff officers that work there. You have Elmer Cox was retaliated against. The action taken against Elmer Cox was taken because he refused, among other things, to remove the PAC chair from the Sheriff's Association PAC organization. He has that authority. He refused to do it when ordered to do so by the sheriff. And that took place because the sheriff could not get an endorsement from the Sheriff's Association PAC organization. And that happened because They knew the nature of the sheriff. The sheriff had been on more than what had the sheriff on more than one occasion had retaliated against many individuals inside and outside their department. And they knew that this was some person that was not worthy of an endorsement. And I believe many knew even then that this person's integrity was not intact. This person's integrity was compromised. Thomas Burnside and their association would not endorse the sheriff for a couple of reasons. One, first being that there's a procedure, a process to follow. There's a forum that should have been taken place before any endorsement was made. The sheriff wanted to preempt all that. He demanded an immediate endorsement and did not get it. And because he did not get it, he retaliated against Thomas Burnside. You should vote for Isaac Valencia for sheriff because I do have a reputation that stands on its own for integrity. I've managed some of the toughest units for the Corpus Christi Police Department, the ultimate one being the Homicide Bureau. That one unit itself has been said that if you can manage the homicide unit, you can handle anything within our department, and for that matter, outside our department. And I have.